Right to this, a suggestion via Discord. Let's go and jump to the video immediately. Someone is lying. Chicago police under scrutiny amid anti-ICE protests. Yeah, guys. I can imagine, like when you decide to say ICE is calling, ICE is under like literal duress, and then you proceed to ignore the phone call, basically tell your officers, "Hey guys, listen, let's go ahead and leave them out there. Right? It's fine. No one told them to come anyway." That type of thing. Of course, you're going to be under scrutiny, guys. But either way, let's do this, guys.
Well, moments there, John, as we take this all in. This is an update from the Chicago police, obviously contradicting the audio that we heard, the dispatch audio, of the moment that the Chicago PD were told to stand down on helping those ICE officers when they were under attack. Here's about 13 seconds of that dispatch audio, John.
Listen to
Again,
this.
per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999, chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
Imagine.
All right, so Jonathan Fahey, former acting ICE director, is still with us, and we're also joined by Chicago Fraternal Order of Police President John Catanzaro. John, thanks very much for being with us. I wanted to bring this to your attention, John, because there seems to be a discrepancy here, a 41-minute hole between the time that the call went out from CPD for assistance, from CBP to assistance from the Chicago Police Department to when, quote, additional units were rolled out there. We also have, and let's put this up, this is call for number 5 here. This is the computer-aided dispatch system. At the bottom of the screen, because the timeline increases as you go further up, a caller is one of approximately 30 armed Border Patrol agents who are being surrounded by a large crowd of people requesting CPD. A number of minutes later, at 12:34, Chief of Patrol, no units will respond to this.
What do you think that says? Like, I mean, listen, I understand that you want to, for the most part, save face to the public by saying, no, none of these things are actually true. This never would have happened. But yet now we have receipts. So now what do we do here? Okay. Like, how do you weasel your way out of this one, bro?
And then as we just heard from the superintendent, John, at 1:09, units were rolled. So could it be the units were told not to respond and then later were dispatched to respond?
Could it be? That's factually what happened. And the reality is somebody's lying here, whether it's the chief of patrol or Unit 999. And I could tell you, I personally know that lieutenant, and he has an impeccable record. On the other hand, the chief of patrol, not so much. He's been notorious for lying and stomping on anybody to get to where he's gotten to this point. Do I think he gave that order? Absolutely. And I think the lieutenant was just relaying what that phone call reiterated to him to not send anybody over there, because sadly this department is
super biased,
literally a shell of itself, and
right,
so fearful of what politicians and this mayor are going to do to them if they respond. Every single citizen, the sanctity of life is what this city supposedly cares about.
Supposedly.
That doesn't discriminate between civil law enforcement. If someone's calling for help, we are obligated to go. And this person should be taken out of his basically assignment right now,
immediately,
stripped of his police powers and removed from
super
commission.
biased.
He has no business wearing a badge.
Guys, it's interesting that someone that he just said specifically that Chicago is a place that, how about this, in its ideals would absolutely love to, care about all of the citizens and care about life and all these other things. But if they actually did, they would not be protesting in the way that they are here. Obviously, this is the ICE protest. I'm referring to specifically, Trump wanting to send the National Guard into Chicago to basically save life. Understand, the minute that the National Guard basically hits, the city, what happens immediately? Most likely the same people who are going to come outside and start shooting things up are no longer going to come outside and start shooting things up. So to be honest, the National Guard is absolutely to the benefit of life, let's say in the context of Chicago, rather than consistently trying to push back on it. Brendan Johnson needs to go also. It's not just the chief of patrol here, guys. It in fact is Brandon Johnson along with J.B. Pritzker.
John, can I just follow up real quickly there? Just what was your response to how you just heard this all characterized directly from the Chicago PD there with the lieutenant speaking?
damage control. I mean,
That's all it is.
He just said we will have more clarity on that conversation between the chief of patrol and the lieutenant tomorrow. 72 hours later, it's not that complicated. The chief of patrol could have already answered, and you certainly could have got the lieutenant's version of the story and made a statement. But it is all about damage control at this point, because they know they wet the bed, and this guy has been a cancer to this department, and the superintendent is doing whatever he can to protect him, and shame on him for that. But this needs to stop. John High needs to be removed. He is an embarrassment to this department and this profession.
All right, let's put the question to Jonathan Fahey then in this timeline here. And let's put that graphic back up at the screen of the computer-aided dispatch system. Again, at 12:28:55, the call goes out. Caller was one of approximately 30 armed Border Patrol agents, ICE, who are being surrounded by a large crowd of people requesting CPD. About 6 minutes later, word goes out. Chief of Patrol, no units will respond to this. And then we find out that 35 minutes after that, units finally were rolled. John, you're ICE, you're out there on the front lines, you're CBP, you're being surrounded by a group of unruly protesters. Vehicles have been crashed into. One person has been shot.
Multiple.
Who was trying to do violence to these federal officers. And it takes 41 minutes for the police to get hit there. What are you thinking? John.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about it. If they were in danger, they could have all been dead, or other people could have been dead or hurt or killed. And it's really shocking when you hear this statement. But the big takeaway here is this really is an endorsement of bringing in more federal resources to Chicago, because clearly they can't handle difficult situations.
They're not going to see it like that,
though. It's also another thing, sort of a side takeaway, but it's kind of interesting. There was somebody shot, and within 2 hours, Chicago PD was done dealing with it. That should be a big deal, but it shows how many shootings they have. That a shooting in Chicago is only worthy of a couple of hours of police time is also shocking. But the other thing that is interesting, this superintendent clearly says that these sanctuary policies, he talked about the Trust Act and another act, interfere with their ability to not only do their jobs, but also interfere with their ability to cooperate with federal law enforcement. So again, another really condemnation of sanctuary city policies from this officer. So all these things speak really poorly of the Chicago PD and really well of what Donald Trump is trying to do here.
It does. Guys, it does. But unfortunately, they're not going to see it like that. Because, again, they're so stuck in their moral superiority that they truthfully believe that their way is the best way. But unfortunately, their way is still kind of leading to loss of life, massive loss of life on a consistent basis in Chicago via how about this here? But if we were to change to the National Guard, what happens here immediately? Look what happened in DC, right? You start to realize immediately that the people that were going to come outside and do all types of crazy debauchery are no longer coming outside and doing all types of crazy debauchery. I think that is to the benefit of humanity, let's say, because again, the people that would have lost their lives without them being there are alive today because of it. If that makes any sense here. We need to move on kind of past it. I wouldn't say that the Chicago police is very good. Let's say if they were very good, then these things would not be consistently happening, right? We need to kind of move on from the conversation of, please, I'm telling you, human life is important. We need to move on from the conversation of like, you don't have to go out and do these things. And the reason why I'm saying we need to move on from it, because it's not working, okay? We need actually like instead of the carrot, we need to give it the stick, okay? In the context of this here, I do think that human life by default, okay, is worth a lot more than the same old common typical, bit of nonsense that has been going on in Chicago since like the 60s and 70s, guys, all right? My personal opinion, obviously. Now, here's the thing. Why would they send them out? I think they were going to send them out no matter what, but I think they wanted to basically punish ICE for being there. I think that's what it is here, truthfully. They're like, listen, we can't get away with not sending at all, right? So let's just say no, let them deal with it for, the amount of time they have to deal with it, specifically, ignore it, send some type of alert saying, no... Here goes here. No units will respond to this, okay? And then obviously sending later. You wanted to punish them for the hour that they were basically surrounded by deviants, guys. Social deviants, antisocial behavior. That's what you wanted to do. Just admit that. And if that's the case again, the guy needs to not be there. All right, like move on past your political ideology, move on past trying to like impress Brandon Johnson or JB Pritzker. Just help solve the problem at least, guys. Don't be a detriment to the city. All right, my opinion, obviously. Okay, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. In the meantime, I'll catch you guys later.